Good, good afternoon, students. I have already started a new chapter, that is chapter 4, Pollinaton, from your science, ICSE Science Class 5 book. So everybody get ready with a science book and open to page 36 from Pollinaton. Today we will start. I have explained you up to bisexual and monosexual flowers. Today I will start from Pollinaton and the process of pollination. I will explain you from pollination, and today I will try to finish the explanation of this chapter, and in the next day I will discuss the back exercises of the book. So pollination. For a flower to form fruits and seeds, pollination is very important. Pollination is the process of transfer of pollen grains from the anther to the stigma of a flower. This transfer can take place with the help of wind, water, or insects. These are called the agents of pollination. So pollination, it is the process of transfer of pollen grains. You have learned that anther produces some powder-like particles which is known as the pollen grains. And in the process of pollination, these pollen grains which are produced by the anther, they are transferred from the stigma of a from the anther of a flower to the stigma. They are transferred from the anther to the stigma. And pollination is very important for flowers. For all flowers, pollination is very important to form fruits and to produce. For a flower to produce fruits and seeds, the process of pollination or the pollination or the transfer of pollen grains is very essential or important. And this transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma can take place or this transfer can took place with the help of wind, water, or insects. These three: wind, water, or insects, and these are the known as the agents of pollination. So, what are the agents of pollination? You will write that the transfer of pollen grains, the wind, water, and insects, they are the agents of pollination, and as they help in the process of pollination. As wind, water, or insects, they help in the process of pollination or in the process of transfer of pollen grains. They are known as the agents of pollination. Now I will tell you why they are called, how they help in the transfer of pollen grains, or what is their work in pollination. In pollination, actually they transfer the pollen grains from anther to they transfer the pollen grains. Wind, water, or insects, they transfer the pollen grains from the anther to the stigma. The work of them is to transfer the pollen grains from anther to the stigma. Now, there are different types of pollination. There are two types of pollination. Actually, there are two types of pollination. That is the self-pollination and cross-pollination. In self-pollination, pollen grains, they are transferred from anther to stigma of the same flower. The pollen grains are transferred from the anther to the stigma of a same flower. This the process, it is happening in only one flower. In one flower, from the anther to the stigma, the pollen grains are transferred to itself. And this process is known as the self-pollination. Okay. So in the self-pollination, the pollen grains, they are transferred to the anther and they are transferred from anther to stigma of the same flower, from the same flower. from the anther of the same flower to the stigma of the same flower of one flower. The pollen grains are transferred from anther of the anther of one flower and stigma of that flower only. And cross pollination is when the pollen grains they are transferred from the anther to the stigma of another flower of the same kind, but it should be a same kind. That hibiscus means the pollen grains are transferred to the anther of hibiscus flower to another hibiscus flowers, not the pollen grains are transferred from the hibiscus flower to the rose flowers. It will not happen. The kinds of flower will be same, but the pollination, cross pollination, it needs two flowers. The cross pollination, the process of cross pollination, it cannot happen in one flower. The anther from where the pollen grains are transferred the anther is of one flower, and the stigma where the pollen grains will be deposited is of that stigma is of another flower. I think everybody has clearly understood it properly, and please pay attention to my explanations so that you can understand the chapter, understand these things very properly and carefully. Process of pollination. We will learn about the process of pollination, or how the pollination took place. Anther of a flower produces pollen grains which contain the male reproductive cells called gametes. These pollen grains may be carried away by either wind, water or insects, and may fall on the stigma of the same flower or the another flower of the same kind. From stigma, they reach ovary through the style. Inside the ovary, male and female gametes meet and reproduction takes place. It results in the formation of fruits from the ovary and seeds from the ovules of a flower. Okay, so the anther of a flower, you know that anther of a flower, they produces pollen grains, and pollen grains, they contains the male reproductive cells. And these male reproductive or female reproductive cells, they are also known as gametes. The male and female reproductive cells are known as gametes. And when these pollen grains are carried away from the anther, when these pollen grains are carried away by either wind, water or insects, these pollen grains are transferred from the anther by either wind, water or insects to the stigma of the same flower or to the stigma of another flower, but the same kind. And from stigma, the pollen grains, they reach the ovary with the help of the style, or through the style from the stigma. These pollen grains reaches the ovary, and inside the ovary, the male and female reproductive cells or male and female gametes, they meet, and the process of reproduction or the reproduction takes place. And the reproduction and this process results in, or helps in the formation of, this process helps in the formation of fruits from the ovary and seeds from the ovules. Okay, so the explanation of my chapter has been finished. Now I will today I will only discuss the time to revise in page 36 and 37, and in my next class, in my next video, I will tell you the answers. I will give you the answers of the book exercises. Okay, first come to page 36, time to revise. Now look at A, fill in the blanks. dash. Number 1 is dash produces fruits and seeds. It will be flowers. Flowers produces fruits and seeds. Number 2, dash is the innermost hole of a flower. It will be gynosium. Number 2, gynosium is the innermost hole of a flower. Number 3, anther produces powder-like particles called dash. It will be pollen grains. Anther produces powder-like particles called pollen grains. Number 4, monosexual flowers are also called incomplete flowers. Monosexual flowers. Number 4, monosexual flowers are also called incomplete flowers. Now I will repeat one times the whole 1 to 4. I will repeat only one time. I will repeat only the answers. Number 1, flowers. Number 2, gynosium. Number 3, pollen grains. Number 4, monosexual flowers. Number 1, I am repeating one more. It is the last repeating of. You will hear it carefully. Number 1, flowers. Number 2, gynosium. Number 3, pollen grains. And number 4, monosexual flowers. Now come to exercise B. Write one line about each. Flower. You will write flowers are the. This is a sentence. You have to write one sentence about each of them. So I am repeating it. I will repeat it 3 times. You will hear carefully. I will also give you time to write. Flowers. You will write flowers are the most attractive part of a plant. Flowers are the most attractive part of a plant. You can also all the lines are written in the book. Everything is written in the book. If you can't hear me, you will get it. If you look into the book, if you go through the book, you will find all these things. There's nothing difficult for you. Now corolla. All petals together are called corolla. All petals together are called corolla. All petals together are called corolla. Ovary. It is the ovary which develops into fruit. Or you can write the ovary develops into fruit. Ovary. The ovary develops into fruit. Ovary develops into fruit. Now number 4, bisexual flowers. Flowers that have both androecium and gynosium. Flowers that have both androecium and gynosium. Flowers that have both androecium and gynosium. I am repeating one once. All these 4 I am repeating only once. Number 1, flower. Flowers are the most attractive part of a plant. Number 2, corolla. All petals together are called corolla. Number 3, ovary. It is the ovary which develops into fruit. The ovary develops into fruit. Number 4, bisexual flowers. Flowers that have both androecium and gynosium. Flowers that have both androecium and gynosium. Okay, so this page number 36, time to revise, has been completed. Now come to page number 37, time to revise. Here it is given. Here you have to write true or false. Number 1, Pollination is essential for a flower to form fruits and seeds. It is true. Number 1, it is true. Number 2, pollination is the process of transfer of pollen grains from the stigma to the anther of a flower. It is false. Number 2 is false. Number 3, fruits and seeds are formed from the ovules. It is false. Number 3 is false. Number 4, pollen grains are male reproductive cells. It is true. Number 4 is true. I am repeating one more. This is all. Then our class, next today's class will be finished. Number 1 true. Number 2 false. Number 3 false. Number 4 true. Okay. So I have discussed all these answers of all the time to revise. I have finished up to page 37, and in my next video I will give you the answers. I will give you the answers of the exercises. Okay. So today, bye bye children. Stay safe and healthy, and stay careful and stay care of yourselves.